The air around the White Wharf usually smelled of gull crap and rotten fish. Today, it tasted of scorched meat and wood smoke, a flavour which Miss Fortune was coming to associate with ever more of Gangplank's men dying. Ash darkened the sky, and reeking fumes drifted westwards from burning vats of rendered Leviathan blubber on the slaughter docks. Miss Fortune's mouth felt greasy, and she spat onto the crooked timbers of the wharf. The water below was scummed with residue expelled by the thousands of corpses sunk beneath the water over the years. "You and your men had a busy night," she said, nodding towards the smoke rising from the western cliffs. "Aye, that we did," agreed Raffin. "Plenty more of Gangplank's men gone under today." "How many did you get?" asked Miss Fortune. "Another 10 of his crackside lads," said Rafton. "And the boneyard scallies won't be bothering us again." Miss Fortune nodded in approval and turned to look at the ornate bronze cannon laid on the quayside. Jackknife Byrne lay inside the barrel, finally dead from a gunshot he'd taken on the day everything changed. The day the dead pool exploded into full view of Bilgewater. A gunshot meant for her. Now it was time for Byrne to go down among the dead men, and she owed it to him to be there to see him go under. Around 200 men and women had come to pay their respects. Her lieutenants, Byrne's old gang members, and strangers she thought might be former crewmen, or curious gawkers hoping to see the woman who'd brought down Gangplank. Byrne said he'd once run his own ship, a 2-masted brigantine that was the terror of the Noxian coast, but she only had his word for that. Maybe that was true. Maybe it wasn't. But in Bilgewater, more often than not, the truth was far stranger than any tales spun by the city's many shantymen. "I see you got them fighting each other out on the slaughter docks as well," said Miss Fortune, brushing particles of ash from her lapels. Long red hair spilled from beneath a tricorn hat that gathered on the shoulders of her formal frock coat. "Yeah, wasn't hard to turn the Rat Town dogs and wharf kings against each other," said Rafton. "Ven Galler's always had his eye on that patch. Says Trevaine's boys took it from his old man a decade ago." "That true?" "Who knows?" said Rafton. "Don't matter nohow. Gallard would say anything to control that part of the docks. I just helped him along." "Not much left to control over there now." "No," agreed Rafton with a grin. "They pretty much killed the hell out of each other. Don't reckon we'll get trouble out of either of them gangs anytime soon." "Another week like this and there won't be any of Gangplank's people left alive." Rafton gave her a strange look and Miss Fortune pretended not to notice. "Come on, let's get Byrne sunk," said Miss Fortune. They walked over to the cannon, ready to roll it into the sea. A forest of wooden markers dotted the succumbed surface of the water, ranging from simple wooden discs to elaborate structures of sea worms. "Anyone want to say anything?" Nobody did, and she nodded to Rafton. But before they could tip the cannon into the water, a booming voice echoed over the wharf. "I bring words for him!" Miss Fortune turned to see a giant of a woman, clad in robes and acres of fabric, striding down the docks towards them. A posse of tattooed menfolk accompanied her, a dozen youths armed with tooth-bladed spears, wide-mouthed pistols and hooked clubs. They swaggered like the cocksure gangsters they were, standing with their priestess like they owned the docks.
"Seven hells, what's she doing here? Did Alawi know Byrne?"
"No, she knows me," said Fortune. "I heard that her and Gangplank used to, you know."
"Really?"
"So the scuttlebutt goes."
"By the bearded lady, no wonder Akko's men have been giving us such a hard time the last few weeks."
Alawi carried a heavy stone sphere that looked as if it weighed about as much as Seren's anchor. The towering priestess carried it everywhere she went, and Miss Fortune assumed it was some kind of totem. What everyone else called the bearded lady, they called something virtually unpronounceable. Alawi produced a peeled mango from somewhere and took a bite. She noisily chewed the fruit with her mouth open and looked down at the barrel of the cannon.
"A Bilgewater man deserves a blessing of Nagakaboros, yes?"
"Why not?" said Miss Fortune. He's going down to meet the goddess after all.
Nagakaboros does not live in the depths, said Alawi. Only foolish Plilangi think that. Nagakaboros is in everything we do that moves us along our path.
Yeah, how stupid of me, said Misfortune. Alawi spat the fibrous mango pit into the water and swung the stone idol around like a giant cannonball, holding it up in front of Misfortune. You're not stupid, Sarah, said Alawi with a laugh. But you don't even know what you are, what you've done. Why are you really here, Alawi? Is this about him? Ha! Not even a little bit. My life is for Nakaboros. A god or a man? What choice is that? None at all, said Misfortune. Bad luck for Gangplank. Alawi grinned, exposing a mouthful of pulped mango. You're not wrong, she said with a slow nod. But you still don't hear. You let a razor eel off the hook, and you ought to stamp on its neck and walk away before it sinks its fangs into you. Then your motion can be gone forever. What does that mean? Come and see me when you figure it out, said Alawi, holding out her hand. Nestled in her palm was a pendant of a pink coral arranged in a series of curves, radiating from a central hub like a single unblinking eye. Take it. What is it? A totem of Nakaboros to guide you when you're lost. What is it really? Nothing more than I say. Misfortune hesitated, but too many people were gathered for her to openly offend the priestess of the bearded lady by refusing her gift. She took the pendant and removed her tricorn to loop the leather thong around her neck. Alawi then leaned in to whisper, I don't think you are stupid. Prove me right. Why do I care what you think? Because a storm is coming, said Alawi, nodding at something over Misfortune's shoulder. You know the one. So you best be ready to turn your prow into the waves. She turned and kicked Burns' cannon from the dock. It splashed down hard and sank into a froth of bubbles before the fatty surface residue reformed, leaving only its bobbing mark across to indicate who it was below. The priestess of the bearded lady marched back the way she came, towards her temple in the cliff crater, and Misfortune turned her gaze out to sea. A storm was brewing way out deep in the ocean, but that wasn't where Alawi had been looking. She'd been looking towards the Shadow Isles.